Hi, this is Anthony from Empire Music at empiremusiconline.com, and today I'm going to be showing you the Fender American Professional Series 5-string P bass with a Sunburst finish and a Rosewood fretboard on it. So we're going to get into some of the specs on this bass here. Once again, Fender American Professional Series has a Sunburst finish on it, with a nice gloss finish on it, feels great. It's got some of the new features on it from the American Pro series, which is, again, not improved upon from the American Standard, just kind of modified a little bit. So new V-Mod pickups in it. Split single coil, typical P-bass position, gets that nice thuddy sound, a little hotter output than what the American Standard stuff has. Very even string response, so all the way from the B up to your G string. They're gonna sound very, very even across that frequency spectrum. Makes it a blast to play. It really lets you kind of have your own sound show through. So if you play harder or lighter, whatever your fingers kind of do are gonna be accentuated by a pickup like this. Typical P-bass control, you just got volume, you got tone. Couldn't be any more straightforward than that. The new high mass bridge, great sustain out of something like that. It does offer string through the body or string through the bridge setup. I always feel like you get a little softer feel when it's strung through the body versus through the bridge. Maybe a little more sustain out of that too, because you're actually into that wood there. And then a little tauter feel, I feel like, with the lesser break angle at the back, with strung through the bridge. But that's up to you, personal preference there. It's 1 7/8" at the nut, so not super wide for a 5-string, but also not super narrow. I feel like it's really comfortable right down the middle. If you're just getting into playing a 5-string, this is great intro to it. And if you've been playing 5-string for a long time, as I have, it still feels kind of at home. Fluted tuners, so what that does, it kind of tapers down towards the headstock, and when you string it or restring it, it's naturally going to push that break angle down below the nut more so than what was on the American Standard stuff. Also adding to the sustain and maybe less sympathetic vibrations up here above the nut. Narrow, tall frets on it, which is a new addition to the American Pro Series. Very easy to fret that way. They're, again, as the name implies, a little more narrow and a little taller. Being taller, you don't need as much downward force to pronounce the note. That's going to make it easier for you to play whatever style you're playing, and it's also going to help increase the sustain out of that. So between the fluted tuners, the new frets, and the high mass bridge, notes are going to hold out a long time with a bass like this, obviously, if you want them to. So that's the specs on this guy, man. It's an absolute joy to play. So we'll get into some of the sounds you can get out of this thing. In typical P-bass fashion, it's pretty straightforward. You got one pickup, you got a volume, you got a tone control. And while some people think that that's gonna sort of put you in a box as far as tones, as I'll demonstrate, you can really pull a lot of different tones out of a P-bass. Everything from real thuddy, playing up here, to a little more taut jazz bass style out of the back. Even though there's not a pickup there, adjusting the tone and where your hand placement is, you can really do a lot with it. So where I'm gonna start out, obviously volume's gonna be all the way up this whole time. I got tone probably around 85, 80, and we'll just play finger style, everything kind of right above the pickup here. That B string pronounces really, really well. That's certainly aided by the new pickups in there. It really has the frequency response to handle that B string and to replicate the sound that it naturally has very, very well. Even out of a 34 scale, which can be kind of rare because sometimes 34 scale 5 strings can be a little bit tubby and on the low end and not in a good way with a B string. And feel kind of loose and rubbery. This actually still has a pretty tight feel to it, and a really, really nice round sound to it, which is cool. So that's tone up around 80. We're going to turn it back a little bit and get a little tubbier sound out of it. Roll off some of those highs. Really nice little warmer tone out of it. And then if you want to get a little brighter, let's crank that thing all the way up, get our hands back here, get some more fingerstyle playing. And again, not quite like a jazz bass brightness, but you'll get some of that pop out of it. So. So like I said, not quite jazz bass territory. You still get that inherent thuddiness that you get out of a P bass. And that's obviously what you want out of a bass like this, but you can certainly brighten up the tone just by playing back a little bit on the strings. And then thumb style, so we'll roll that off if you want to get the palm muting thing going on and kind of muffle that down a little bit. We're going to have tone, I'd say probably on about 20. Really hear that B string come through on stuff like that, especially with that palm muting. It sounds great. That's a fun bass to play, man. That B string sounds and feels really, really nice. So yeah, that's it, man. You got some good versatility out of this for a P bass. Which again, people can think can be kind of limiting, but if you know what you're doing with it, hand placement wise, tone control wise, and you can always tweak your amp a little bit too. I have everything set really flat on this Fender Rumble amp over here. The bass is a blast to play, man. Real easy playing 5-string. So once again, I've been showing you the Fender American Professional Series 5-string P bass. Has a rosewood fretboard and a gloss sunburst finish. A real joy to play. 5-string, very easy to play for someone just getting into a 5-string or someone that's been playing 5-string for a long time. 34 scale and a B string that definitely sounds like it's a 35 scale with its big roundness to it. If you want to get more information about this bass, you can check us out at empiremusiconline.com. Please follow us on the YouTube channel. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Really appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.